And we are live. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whatever the case may be in this bright, wonderful world we live in. It is the Aloha Hour. I am, once again, your humble servant, Mike S. Miller. And with me again tonight, the great, the noble Edwin Boyett.
Aloha. It's fantastic to be with you once again, Mr. Miller.
Had a hard day, Edwin.
You had a hard day. I've been screaming like an idiot. I imagine everybody's like, Edwin, go away. Just stay off the internet for a week. We're tired of seeing
Get off my monitor,
your bearded face.
No, I've just been trying to get some taxes done. I'm behind a bit. Let me lock my chair so I don't lean back too far. Oh, it seems really bright in here. Maybe there's too many lights.
Well, somebody left the door open again. And it looks like all the lights are on in the other room, too. Just all
the... I'm sure that won't last long.
Got all that Lone Star money. Might as well turn on every light in the house.
Got solar, man. Doesn't matter. All righty. So, what's been the topic du jour?
And today, the big thing has been Frank CHO, man. A lot of people feel wounded by that.
We may change his name to Frank Choke.
Oh, are you?
Because he just choked. That's why I call this Frank CHO and the High Price of Ignorance. Because I don't know Frank. I've met him, talked to him a little bit over the years, not much. And wow, this was a move out of pure unbridled ignorance, and it's going to cost him dearly, I think. So many of the people who are, you know what? If you don't know about something, keep your trap shut.
Well, and some people have been disagreeing with me on this, but to me, calling someone alt-right, right, in 2018, calling someone a member of an alt-right hate group, this is an act of economic and personal violence, right? This is not a term to be tossed around, because there are plenty of organizations right now, and organizations that can, censor content for YouTube, censor content for Twitter, and prepare dossiers for the FBI and for the State Department and for the government and Homeland Security, right? That call the alt-right a hate group. And so Homeland Security and some of these other places, take this stuff seriously. So if you're calling somebody a member of an alt-right hate group, that potentially has significant life-changing repercussions for the person. That if you can stick that label on somebody, that can do irreparable reputation damage and financial damage, and maybe even personal damage, because people get stabbed, assaulted all the time who are called alt-right, right? This is not a trifling matter. I mean, this is not a minor matter. And there needs to, I don't know what the motivation was, but there needs to be repercussions for this. And there needs to be repercussions, and I mean economic repercussions.
Well, there's gonna be. He just pissed off a whole lot of fans, because Frank walks and talks like a comic skater, and so a lot of the comic skaters are fans of Frank CHO, and he just told them all they were a bunch of freaking bigot, racist homophobes.
Yeah.
And wow, Twitter is not taking kindly to that. Neither are his followers, because he doesn't have a Twitter account apparently. Neither are his followers on Instagram. I mean, did you scroll through that today?
I didn't look at Instagram. He does have a Twitter account. I think it's called Apes and Girls or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Apes and Babes?
Yeah, Apes and Babes. That's him. Yeah.
That's funny. I didn't do it in let me see. And how's his Oh, he does have a Twitter.
But I don't think he was. I don't. He's barely active on Twitter.
But he's probably got a whole lot of followers who just.
Well, you know the usual suspects are going to be high-fiving him. Gail Simone, Heather Antos, good old Patch-addled Zurcher,
Right.
these
But
type of people.
it's
And hey,
the
I've been
people
doing.
the people who collect his stuff who are going to make him pay for this. Gail Simone is not going to cut him a check.
No, no.
You know?
Well, her the most recent sales numbers on her, and I'm sure she's paid some contracted sum, and it's her compensation isn't tied to what is. All right, I'm getting scolded in the chat. Tell me it's Fitzpatrick says, Edwin Boyett, hold on, friend. We don't want them instigating economic assaults on us. We should be careful not to do the same. No, all right, I disagree. Thank you. I disagree. Let me make this clear. I mean, and I can only speak for myself. I don't even presume or pretend to speak for anybody beyond myself. Alt-right has a very specific meaning. Hate group has a legal meaning, right? And so alt-right was a term coined by Richard Spencer, right? And so he is the presumptive leader of the alt-right. There are other members of the alt-right. There is a group called the Right Stuff. They do a internet podcast called the Daily Shoah. Think about that. The name of their podcast is called the Daily Shoah. Shoah is the Holocaust, right? So that's the name of their podcast, the Daily Shoah, the Daily Holocaust. Um, and then obviously Vox Day has defined what he means by the alt right. These words have specific meanings. To be a part of the alt right means that you advocate for white nationalism, right? White separatism. I've listened to Richard Spencer as he talked about a peaceful repatriation of all the non-white citizens of the United States of America to some other place, right, to their ancestral homelands. That's talking about over 100 million people having to leave the United States, right, through some supposedly peaceful means. You think through this logistically. Where would these people go? Imagine the revolt in civil war that would happen, because you think of all the people who have served in the armed forces of the United States that aren't white, right? It's at least 30% of the current veterans. Normal people who just don't want to be told, hey, time to get out, right? Because there's a good chance that some of these people have been here before Richard Spencer's ancestors, before some of these weirdo white nationalists. Why should they want to go anywhere? In addition to that, the Native American population, why should they want to go anywhere? Right? You would be talking about mass death, misery, right? And this is the lunacy that the alt right represents. These idiots who poison every reasonable or rational discussion that we might have, right? You want to talk about immigration or anything like this, you can't, right? Because the alt right talks about this stuff, and so it poisons the conversation. Because you try and talk about any of these things in a humane, compassionate manner, and the conversation is already poisoned, because the Richard Spencers and the Vox Days have stuck their dirty little fingers in it and poisoned any reasonable conversation about it. And so,
Well,
it's you want to associate us with the alt right, you can
no,
get out of
no,
here.
no.
I don't want to be part of of any kind of movement that has any common interest with the alt right.
Right.
They can, excuse my language, but they can, well,
Take a breath.
yeah. I don't want to.
Talking
If you're saying we have anything to do with the alt right, you're a liar. You're a liar. Joe Quesada, you're a liar. Jeff Lemire, you're a liar. Bill Sienkiewicz, you're a liar, a defamer, a slanderer, and a scumbag. CHO, you're a liar. Take this garbage and get out of here. Words have meanings, and before you dump this mess on good and decent people, get out of here. Get out. This defamation is this nasty language, and again, I'm speaking for myself. This is violence, Mike. It's an act of violence. It is trying to target someone for harm. This is inexcusable. Even if it was done out of ignorance, it's disgusting. Sorry. I'm cool. I'm calm.
This is calm, Edwin. No, I mean, the fact that it is done out of it, that he doesn't even know what the name is. He called it Comic Gate. He's clearly speaking so much out of ignorance. I mean, I guarantee you the guy doesn't have a freaking clue what the alt-right is, right? He's listening to some idiotic friends who are probably listening to other idiotic friends. He's going along to get along. And I mean, again, I got no skin in the game. I don't know Frank. I've only talked to him a handful of times in the last 2 decades, if that. But like I said, if you don't know what you're... This is why I went... When I kept hearing the Vox Day was a racist, and then he had someone approach me about working for him, I was like, well, let me go see what he's actually said, right? And so I went and I did the research, and I found things that he had said that I was like, I'm not touching this freaking guy with a 10-foot pole.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't take a dime from him if I was begging in the street. But that's me, Anyone else can make their own decisions. What does the Bible say about, well, maybe it's not the Bible, but better to have the people think you're a fool than to open your mouth and prove it to be so.
Well,
something along those lines.
Be quick to hear and slow to speak, and it talks about bridling your tongue.
Yeah, well, I think Frank just made a really, really, really bad mistake. And I hope that someone who knows him better than I do can explain to him what a egregious error he has just made. And again, his fans on Instagram, they are his art fans. Instagram is an artist's, a visual, social media. It's all about the art. So it's all about his art. And boy, just post after post after post is like people who are disappointed in him, people who are trying to explain it to him. And there's hardly anybody on here that's like, yeah, go, Frank, go. So I think if he sits down and he reads the hundreds of posts on here, maybe it'll be an eye-opener. Maybe he'll come back tomorrow and he'll be like, maybe I should do some research, because Frank, do some freaking research.
Mm. We'll see.
I don't know. I'm the type of person who doesn't. If someone does something out of ignorance, me and the word liar, right? If someone says something out of ignorance, I don't consider it a lie. I consider it ignorant. I consider it foolish. But unless they know that they are saying something that is wrong, deliberately trying to convince someone of an untruth, then I just don't use that word.
Well, he did finish that statement with F Comics Gate.
Yeah, that makes it kind of prickish. I will definitely say that.
So there is some malevolent intent.
Well,
I mean, there's no self.
I'm not going to excuse it. I'm just saying that it was done out of ignorance, and I hope that somebody teaches him better.
Well,
but I think that way about almost everyone who's not like a jump off the cliff SJW.
Sure.
Everybody else who has a negative opinion about Comicsgate they're being told a freaking fistful of lies and they're believing it, right? And they're just not hearing or researching both sides of the issue. There was a lady, I think I mentioned before, she's talking about how, yeah, I used to be totally anti-Comicsgate, and then I watched 200 hours of videos and I changed my mind. I'm like, nobody's going to watch 200 hours of videos to change their mind, you know?
I had a young woman named Nicole send me a message today. And I guess some of these trolls were combing through a post, and she takes child abuse seriously. She's interested in it as an issue. And so she had liked some posts that were condemning some child abuse, but some other people, some of these trolls, some of these regular suspects were trying to spin it into saying that she was making some sort of anti-Semitic statement, right? And it was the furthest thing from reality. Right? She wasn't making any sort of, and she felt horrified that anybody would think that. And she was asking me what she should do, and I was like, well, don't engage them, block them, just cut off all contact, because they just want to make you, they just want to make you miserable, right? Turn your head upside down. And so I guess ignorance in this case isn't enough. There's only so much that you can assault people's reputations, right? And have all these people, it seems like a very systematic attack at this point. Right? All these people are coming out and saying you're racist, misogynist, alt-right, Nazi, bigot, scumbag, over and over.
What you're getting, Edwin, is you're getting people pressuring other people to take sides.
I keep getting asked what's in the green canisters. Occasionally there's cookies. Right now there's nothing in them.
You should have said Grandpa.
Yeah, they're just right now they're just good old-fashioned Tupperware containers.
So yeah, you're getting a lot of pressure. I think, see, it's a funny thing. We don't pressure people on our side because we don't want anybody coming over here unless they understand what is going to happen to them, right? So it's like, but the other side is pressuring. The other side wants everyone to pick a side. And I kind of have this weird feeling that if someone's quiet about it, chances are they're on our side because they're not taking that other side. You know, I had assumed that about Frank, and I think every one of his fans in Comicsgate assumed that about him because, yeah, the crap that he went through early on is some of the freaking tinder that got this fire started. And it is ridiculous for him to be taking sides with the SJWs who have been lambasting him for years because of what the freedom of speech and the freedom of artistic integrity that we're all for, you know.
All right, so.
And one other thing before you go there.
Sure.
I think a lot of the people who call themselves alt-right don't even freaking know what alt-right means.
Maybe.
I mean, dude, I used to say I was alt-right. I had no idea that Richard Spencer came up with that crap, and that I just like the sound of it. It sounds cool.
Oh yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, you know? Yeah. If it wasn't contaminated by these white nationalists, alt-right would actually be a useful term because a lot of us feel disconnected from like this organized Republican Party.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. That's what I thought it was. That's what I felt it was. And then when I found out that Richard Spencer was the asshat that came up with it, I'm like, dude, he owns it. I'm out.
Yeah, yeah.
Milo Yiannopoulos was the same. I think Gavin McInnes was the same. You know, a lot of people were like, yeah, all right. We don't want to be this freaking Republican establishment. We're all right. And then they're like, oh, that's Richard Spencer's thing. We're like, no, out. Yeah. But I think Frank is relatively ignorant in the ways of politics. So
maybe, Maybe, but he says he's a liberal Democrat. He lists the things he's for, right? And you have to understand. You have to understand for everybody who's turned on CNN or MSNBC in the last 2 years, particularly post Charlottesville, when these people say alt-right, they're using it as a synonym for a Nazi, right? They're using it as a synonym for Nazi and for KKK. And so in order for me to get to the place where you're at, I would have to believe that Frank Cho hasn't turned on his computer, right? Hasn't looked at CNN or MSNBC or picked up a New York Times or looked at the Huffington Post in the last 2 years. Um, is he that disconnected from? Well, let's look at his Twitter. What did I say his
Not
name
even
was?
on Twitter. I mean, his Twitter's like nothing but I've been busy. Here's some art. Here's Comic-Con. Here's a book. There's freaking nothing political. It's all about art and conventions and work. Art conventions work. Art conventions work. Art conventions work.
I'll do an advanced search real quick. We'll put From Apes and Babes, and then we'll put alt-right. We'll see if anything turns up. See if he's ever used that. Okay, didn't turn up there. Let's see. Let's see if Nazi turns up on his from these accounts. Search. All right. No results for Nazi. So it's possible.
Look up SJW.
Look up SJW. Okay. Advanced search. Go back here. SJW, huh? SJW. 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 No results for SJW.
See, this guy is so non-political. He's a freaking tabula
No results for Trump.
And I think that's the problem with culture today is that from the media and from the news, the general news, being all those I'm pro this, I'm pro this, I'm pro this. That's like thinking you're the average American nowadays. You have to be diligent and aware and woke to not think like that. Well, I mean, not even think. You know what I mean? I don't want to get too specific in the weeds on that, but the culture writ large, vis-a-vis the media, is left wing. So if he's just thinking he's going along to get along, that's what he's going to go for. You know, I would never assume he was a born again Christian or Republican or anything like that.
Right. Oh, he's got porn on his Facebook.
Which makes him an enemy of the SJWs.
Yeah, let's see. So here's his actual statement. It's come to my attention from various sources that people are associating me with Comic Gate, an alt-right hate group in the comic book field.
See, that right there. That explains everything. People are telling him what Comic Gate is. Because I'm pretty sure he had no idea. Because it doesn't even get the name right. And he says it more than once, so it's not a typo. He thinks it's Comic Gate.
Yeah, I'm not seeing a home. Maybe he is. Maybe he's that disconnected from it. If he's that disconnected from it, though, why do you weigh in and say F you, though?
Pressure, man. I mean, think about it. You think I'm sure he's friends with Sienkiewicz and freaking Dave Johnson and you know, all these big name artists that he respects, and they're like all these left-wing freaking SJWs, and they come in and they say, what are you doing, man? You have to stand up against this. You got to be on the right side of history. I think he's ignorant. I think I think give this time to let someone explain this to him, and besides me, I mean, I don't know him, so.
Yeah, I don't really know anybody who knows him that well myself. So
I've just never heard other than fighting against the SJWs who want to censor him. I've never heard him say or post anything political at all.
yeah, I'm not seeing anything political, and you know what? I'm willing to give the guy forgiveness if he walks that back. But I've just had enough.
Yeah,
Enough.
I know, and it's. I mean, a guy like Frank who is so obviously, if he knew what Comicsgate was about, he would side with us, even silently, right?
Yeah.
Because of what he's been through. Like I said, dude, the stuff they targeted him with is part of the foundation of this entire movement. I think maybe if he just reads those responses in his Instagram, I mean, it's almost unanimously, Frank, you don't know what you're talking about. You're freaking, you know. But we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
Who knows what the future will bring? I'm sure Malin has an opinion on it.
Hold on, I just hopped in. I just saw the link. Where are we at?
You're talking about Frank CHO.
Oh, yeah. Cecil's right, man. Robbie Rodriguez won. Robbie Rodriguez beat Frank CHO into submission, and he's such a soy boy, out of respect for Mike, right now. Yeah, he's lost. Frank CHO lost, and we're gonna fight for him anyways. And maybe one day Frank CHO can get his testicles back from Robbie Rodriguez.
Well, I think he's just in a place of not knowing what the hell he's talking about, and I hope he learns better.
Yeah.
Well, I was telling Edwin before, it's like we don't recruit, right? Our side does not recruit. We do not want to force people into taking a stand that is going to cost them jobs, cost them money, cost them fans, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the other side is 100% for recruiting, so they want people to take their side, and they want people to denounce us, and so they're far more aggressive. Which means I doubt it was Robbie or Robbie alone. I'm sure it was like an intervention of a number of people. Dude, anytime somebody comes on my show, they're gonna get phone calls and emails from their oh so worried friends that associating with me is going to cost them time and money. And it's funny because I'll be like, yeah, dude, this is gonna cost you freaking money. But I warn them in based on their psychotic responses.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're freaking psychotic.
Yeah, they're nuts.
Yeah, you have all those, like I was saying, you have Bill Sienkiewicz, and you have Dave Johnson and Dan Panosian and all your buddies freaking coming to tell you that we're bad news.
Yeah, well, you got Bill Sienkiewicz, who illustrates a woman's head in a bullseye, and then he calls us misogynists. So, I mean, it's always these hypocrites, these just worthless people. As long as they denounce us, they can be it. If they're going to denounce misogyny, they can be misogynists. There's no one here that is drawing any woman's head, no real woman's head, as in a veiled threat to a real factual woman, as like, hey, maybe take a shot.
Yeah.
But Frank CHO is a real. It's disappointing. Look, I don't think Frank CHO needs to take any side, but by calling us alt-right, what was it?
Alt-right hate group.
Yeah, an alt-right hate group. I mean, come on, dude. anyone in that is not completely in this weird bubble can look at the vast array of people who belong to, you know, this loose affiliation of people called Comicsgate, and you know straight up there is no alt-right hate group in here.
Well, hold on a second.
Fantasy.
Let me give you an example real quick. Tony Bedard has been arguing this for months, right? He's been arguing against this for months. It wasn't until last week that he found out that we weren't all white males.
That's funny. Yeah, I didn't know about this guy. Yeah,
it's that's the level of freaking echo chamber bubble house they live in. So yeah. I mean, Frank, who is, as far as I know, the most apolitical guy on the planet. I mean, he doesn't post anything. I've never seen him post anything political except for when SJWs are attacking him for drawing beautiful women. Mm-hmm. Right? And so for someone who's as political and into every single argument as Tony Bedard was, to have not had a clue until last week that the majority of the creators and a lot of the fans in Comicsgate are not white males, mm-hmm. You gotta give someone so outside of this realm the benefit of the doubt, at least.
Yeah, but it's dangerous. It's dangerous. It's dangerous for someone like Frank Cho to go around and start throwing these labels on people that he's known. You know, he's known probably through some degree or another, people like Ethan, yourself. You know, I mean, come on. Look, you guys are Republicans. That's it. You know, you're conservatives. You specifically Christian conservative. I mean, come on. You're not alt-right hate group. Get the crap out of here. What kind of fantasy is everyone?
I honestly think he probably doesn't have a clue what the alt-right actually is.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
I mean, if you read that first sentence again, Edwin.
Yeah. Let me pull it back up. Sorry, I had closed it out. On Facebook, I'll be there in just a second. Let's see, good old Frank Cho.
But when there's narratives going around about punching Nazis and alt-right are Nazis, and now people I associate who by all documentation are not Nazis, they are not alt-right. I mean, that's dangerous. That's dangerous. And Frank Cho is adding into that. And, when this stuff all culminates to one person of a low intelligence starts gobbling this stuff up and decides they're going to start taking care of this Nazi problem at a convention, I don't want to be in Bill Sinkovich's bullseye.
Right. It has come to my attention from various sources that people are associating me with Comicsgate, an alt-right hate group in the comic book field. As a proud liberal Democrat, I'm against everything Comicsgate stands for. I'm pro-equal rights, pro-diversity, pro-comics. I always believe that everyone is welcome at the comic table, and no one group should try to force another to the idea of what is normal and not normal. But this is Marvel Comics right here. If you're not a political progressive, if you don't jump through all these hoops, you can F right off.
Yeah. Just reading that, it is so abundantly clear that he has zero clue what he's saying.
All right. Mm-hmm. Let me say this. Let me say this, and I don't mean it to be offensive. I don't mean it to be offensive. And Megalyn may understand some of this. You guys create comic books. It's entertainment. I like the stories you've made. All right? I enjoy them. When you were drawing comic books, when these weirdos were drawing comic books and writing stories, I was at Fort Benning, Georgia, learning how to become a soldier. I went over and spent half a year in the desert of Egypt, right? Acting as a frickin' speed bump so the Egyptians and the Israelis wouldn't kill each other. In 1999, when you were drawing whatever and writing comic book stories, I was in Bosnia, armed up, right? Cleaning up the mess of this ethnic cleansing and this genocide, right? Carrying arms for my country. I did a poll the other day. There are hundreds of veterans in Comicsgate. You guys make comic books, funny stories, entertainment, right? Some of it is valuable. Like I would miss Lone Star if it didn't get made. Loved it. I'm looking forward to what Maitland's doing. I'm so looking forward to Red Rooster. These weirdo pricks that have never stood for anything but some ink on their fingers want to call decent people who have been giving them money for over half their life. They want to call them alt-right and Nazis. They need to fix themselves, and they need to fix themselves quickly.
Yep.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, what you think because you sling some ink, Frank Cho? You think you've been through some fucking shit or I'm sorry, pardon my French.
Yeah,
I
I revved it up, and I'm sorry, I'm so revved up. This stuff, Mike, it disgusts me. These are good people. These are good people in your chat. These are good people. These are good, decent people.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous what they're saying about people that they know. One day they're going to look back on this, and there's going to be a severe amount of regret about this hysteria that they've let build, all because they've been upset because whatever Hillary lost to Trump, and there was never a healing, or they never allowed a healing time to happen, and they just let their rage boil over a big nothing burger. And they directed it at their friends, at their family. Even Bill Sienkiewicz was directing it at his aunt, who I can only imagine, because Bill Sienkiewicz looks like he's 50, 60. This lady's got to be in her 70s, and he's giving her crap. So there's no limits for these people. These ideologues, this poison is just spread so much, and everybody's either afraid or willfully ignorant of what's going on. And like I said, it's dangerous. And when this game finally stops, let's hope that no one's shot. Let's hope that no one goes to a convention one day, comic skater, and gets shot and killed because of this nonsense narrative, this game that they're playing.
Yeah. So what do we do? I mean, I still, if someone had reached out to Frank Cho and explained Comicsgate before these psychotic leftists did, then he might have done the opposite, or at least kept his mouth shut, which he should have done because he's ignorant about it. This is going to cost him, and I don't know. Like I said, the reason we don't recruit is because of the people on the other side willfully willing to destroy your career, right?
Yeah, we're 100% happy with people that want to remain neutral. We understand it. We know there's a price.
But that's the thing. By doing that, we're going to lose ground to people like Frank, who have friends on both sides, but the one side is willing to let them come to their own conclusion, and the other side is recruiting.
Mm-hmm. Even J. Scott Campbell was talking back in 2015-16 about SJWs, and now that we're at the point that we are now, he's nowhere to be found. So we're the ones doing the fight for people like J. Scott Campbell. Whether Frank Cho likes it or not, we're the ones doing the fight for him against this weirdo censorship BS going on. I mean, what they did his cover was a huge joke. And you know, it's going to have to stop. If there's anything with comics that's going to be left, you know, we're fighting for it. We're fighting so we can have a little bit of edge. See, we're not competing against DC Comics, and DC is not competing against Marvel, and vice versa. We are competing against the video game industry. We are competing against the internet. It is a battle for attention span, and that is it. That's all it is. And until we come to that conclusion, then we're going to lose, because the audience is ready for good commercial entertainment. It needs to be high-end art. It needs to be high-end storytelling. And if the mainstream isn't going to deliver this, and they're going to cut the artists off at the kneecaps every time they try to show a short line, and that's the thing that gets me so much on that Wonder Woman cover, was her shorts, man. 5 years before, there was no that Spartan-like skirt thing. Right. It was just her shorts, and now her shorts was too much. Come on, where are these lines going to be drawn? Where do we stop? Because I mean, let's just make it, you know, a skirt might be too much in another couple of years. Let's make sure it's you know, 2 inches below the kneecap, and anything above the kneecap.
For a while, man.
What's that?
You had pants for a while.
Yeah. That didn't last very long, thankfully. but if they brought it back today, it might work, man, because these guys they're so. Yeah, throw her in a burqa. Shoot.
Hey, Alan Rogers for $10. Order 1,400, John. Can't wait. Edwin, this Colonel Kurtz bit is pretty dope.
I don't know what Colonel Kurtz is.
I don't either.
Apocalypse Now, isn't it?
Well, is it?
Softer and gently. America is a tapestry woven from all these different threads, right? And in current year, where we stand today, America is made up of these threads that are loosely woven together from all these disparate and diverse people. And what separates us and divides us these days has almost grown larger than what unites us. And you've got Vox Day pulling at these threads. You've got Richard Spencer pulling at these threads. You've got these leftist weirdos trying to keep pulling at these threads to pull us all apart, right? And we need to have something as an American people, and I understand we have an international audience, but I'm talking specifically about America right now. We need to have something that brings disparate people together. Popular entertainment is one of these things. Stories of heroes, right? Comic books is a distinctly American creation and American media. And if nothing else, you know, Americans come together over their sports, their entertainment, their songs, their movies. What are the biggest movies? What are the biggest movies in the world right now? They're superhero movies. This is something we can all come together. And these things can represent these universal principles that transcend any particular political ideology. It doesn't need to be reduced down to these small and granular things. It doesn't. And we need something as an American people, as a diverse people. We need something to join us together, because there's all these people pulling at the threads of America, right? Trying to separate us out, to sift us and sieve us. These separate people. And we have to resist against this, whether it comes from progressives or whether it comes from Marxists and leftists or whether it comes from Vox Day or Richard Spencer. We have to resist this stuff with compassion and reason. And yeah, and sometimes I get a little bit fired up about it, because it's all people pulling at the, you know, and they do it in the name of social justice and all these labels, but they don't create any of these things that they talk about. They just make people insane and angry at each other. And I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. It is a hate your neighbor gospel. Doesn't matter if it comes from progressives. Doesn't matter if it comes from Vox Day or Richard Spencer. It is a hate your neighbor gospel, and we have to reject it as Americans. We must. We must.
And consider when Frank Cho referred to Comicsgate as an alt-right hate group, consider how many people from the comics mainstream stepped up and said no, that this is not right. You're going too far. I challenge Frank Cho to name a single person within Comicsgate that is an alt-right hate group member. Let's put a name to it, because if they exist, I want to know it. I want to know who they are. And if they don't exist, and if what he's saying is untrue, he should be sued. So if he's going to call us an alt-right hate group, let's hear it. Who is it? Give us names. Let us know who's spewing the hate group rhetoric that makes us this alt-right thing, because there's only a handful of us that would even register on anyone's list. So I mean, Mike, myself, Ethan, Richard, Mitch, Elizabeth. Which one of us is the alt-right hate group? Who infiltrated Comicsgate and turned it into this? Prove it.
No, Vox Day owns Comicsgate.
Yeah. Yeah, we've denounced him.
Yeah.
So come on, Frank Cho. Who is it? Name a name. Give us one name. One name of who is a alt-right hate group. And you better be right.
Sounds like Art T. Bear wants to come in.
I sent him a link on Twitter.
Okay. Yeah, but we've got to have points of commonality, because the American people, we're changing into a very diverse nation. We are. This is the future of America, and we must have some sort of commonality, something that binds us together, some mutual interest, mutual understanding, some kind of common culture, right?
Yeah, we used to call it America. I hate this whole salad bowl thing. I liked it when we were a melting pot. We were in third grade. It was a melting pot, right? People came here. They assimilated. They learned the language. They learned the culture. They didn't give up who they were, but they aspired to be part. They aspired to be Americans first, and it is those immigrants. It is those new people that helped build this country, generation after generation. And at some point in the last 30 years, they decided, or somebody decided, to just start chopping us up into little pieces and maintain your identitarian stance, and forget about just putting America first and your community first. Put your little individual group first, and it's the fracturing.
Yeah, well, that's the gospel of Vox Day.
Yeah. It's funny, because I was talking to. Because right when I did this little research thing on Vox Day, I posted on Twitter. I was like, "Hey, any of you Vox Day alt-right racists who hate mongrels, just so you know, I am one. So you might not want to follow me anymore." And I had a couple of, credit to them. I had a couple of these alt-right guys come to me and try to explain why Vox was right. And it's like I got them to the point where I'm like, so you understand that you're using identitarian politics, which you've already said that you hate, but you're using it because you say the other side is using it, You know, it's like all the little groups, the Black Americans, Hispanic Americans, Native American, you know, Indian American, whatever it is. And they're like, we have to stand up and say we're white Americans because of all the other ones are doing it. I'm like, two wrongs don't make a right, man. If you know it's wrong, you know it's bad, but you're doing it as some sort of a weird defense. White people aren't going to disappear. That's like their big fear, right? That the white culture, first of all, white is not a culture, it's a color. But that the white culture is going to disappear because of all this constant inbreeding. I'm like, that is like never going to happen. But this is their paranoia.
If you're worried about white people going, stop reading Fox Day and Richard Spencer. Join your church, because from all my research, the highest reproductive rates are directly correlated with regular worship service attendance. Right? I've confirmed this now with several studies. So if you're worried about white people vanishing, go join your church and make some babies. You don't need to be, and while you're there, you know, you're going to get a serving of the gospel. You'll probably be a better person. You'll be engaged in some sort of community. So instead of this right LARPing and all this ridiculous trolling, right? You'll get some gospel. You'll get a community. You'll have a healthier life, and you'll make some babies. So the answer, if you're worried about the white race disappearing, the answer is not Vox Day and Richard Spencer. It's Christ.
Yeah. And babies.
And babies. And babies.
To my part, although they're not white, but whatever. Lord Asserman for $10 makes a good point. They use Frank because they knew we liked him. They know it hurts and hope we get riled to the point we say something that can be taken out of context. Cooler heads must prevail. Yeah, I mean, the assumption would have been that Frank would have sided with us just because he knows that the SJWs are the enemy, right, of his career, of what he does day after day. They are the enemy. And somehow or another, a couple of them got under his skin and freaking, who's that guy in Lord of the Rings? It's that whispers in the ear of the king.
Grimer Wormtongue.
Yeah. That's Bill Sienkiewicz or whoever.
Oh.
Art, are you having a hard time? It's on Twitter. Do I need to send you one on Facebook, old man? You got it cut out, Edwin?
Here in just a second. But yeah, well, I guess what galls me is nobody, and I mean nobody, from Marvel has come to the defense of their customers. It's just a pile-on. And man, why is anybody still giving these companies money?
It's a good question. I mean, they see that they are alienating a significant portion of their readership. Is it a business or is it just a freaking ideological bully puppet? You know? I mean, we know the answer on one end, but what do they think in the Marvel bullpen?
They think they're fighting Nazis.
My wife is Native Hawaiian. I work for a Hawaiian-owned company, and so I'm trying to make these brown people as wealthy as possible. Right? I do my best to make the family that I work for as much money as possible. All my friends and coworkers are Polynesians, right? There's this Samoan kid is essentially called Edwin Jr. Right? He's considered my Samoan son. My nieces are Hapas, right? Beautiful little nieces are half Caucasian, half, Puerto Rican. They don't look white. There's an evilness here. I mean, it's so funny because for the most part, all this hate your neighbor mess from these progressive weirdos is coming from these old white people.
Yeah, white
Patch,
knights.
Selner, Patch, Wade, Slot, Brevoort. It's nuts. It's nuts. All these. They think they're helping somebody. They think they're helping somebody, but this hate your neighbor gospel, it will destroy our country, right? It reduces the empathy and compassion that people have for each other.
Yeah.
Social justice doesn't come from the government, doesn't come from some law, right? Because all these things can do is punish somebody after something bad has happened. Social justice comes from an enlarging of the heart, right? It comes from stopping and looking and saying, this family, this man, these people, they're like me. We have a common struggle. We have a common interest, right? In being able to feel more empathy and compassion for people. And the things they do, the things they communicate, reduce compassion, reduce empathy, and set people at one another.
Yeah, they're looking for enemies. You know,
They're making them up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, come on. If there were really, if we were a bunch of white supremacists, if we were KKK, if we were these complete racists, then what would we be doing with Edwin? What would we be doing with Mike?
Burn the witch.
How would this be solved? There's no logic here. There's zero logic here. I mean, the problem solving abilities going on with someone like Frank Cho. Come on, dude, turn on your computer screen and take a look at who's talking. Does Kanan, do they count? Does Antonio count? Does Ben Jones count? Are these guys alt-writers too? Are we all some big who are we? Who's our hating on? Who's our what are this hate group going after? Because it's not racial. So you know, I'm sure there's people that don't like Hillary, but that doesn't qualify as a hate group.
No. Alan Rogers for $10. I still give money to Marvel because they're still books I like. It's almost to the point that I'm holding my breath whenever I check Twitter to see Cates or Stegman calling me a racist. Ryan Stegman, is he lefty?
Neutral. To the best of my knowledge, he's neutral.
See, that's what I was saying. Is like when someone's neutral, I just kind of assume that they agree with us because otherwise they would say so. Because there's no political consequence to them saying so in their mind, or at least work-wise. Cho's going to lose a bunch of fans. That may take a while to turn into dollars because Marvel and DC and whoever are still gonna hire him. But you know, I guarantee he's just lost some art collectors, and his alternate covers are going to sell fewer and fewer because of this, unless he freaking learns better. Django Manco for $5. Frank Cho never asked himself why white nationalists would want to claim him. Come on. Yeah. I swear, we are the worst group of white nationalists.
And Alan Rogers, one thing I do not want you to take away from my words. I'm not trying to guilt you. The world can grind down at you, right? Can make you be very scurrysome. The world can be very cold. And so if some of these stories still bring you joy and still bring you entertainment, then by all means, please enjoy them. I would absolutely not want you to think that I'm trying to trying to guilt you or coerce you. Far from it. Far from it. It'd be the very last thing I would want to do.
Yeah, Edwin was just speaking for himself. He doesn't understand why you're funding this hate group called Marvel. No, just kidding. No, yeah, it's a weird, because on the one hand, you know, there's good people working for Marvel. I don't know if there's good people working at Marvel anymore, but there's good people working for Marvel who are quiet about, you know, what they believe and how they think, just out of self-preservation. And it's not like you want those people to be out of work. You'd rather they come over here and make $100,000 for a single comic book, but you know, we don't recruit.
A handful of us that would even register.
Art, turn it off.
List, so.
Okay, I'm sorry. It's off.
But I don't know. Do you think we should make a concerted effort to reach out to those friends who we know and not necessarily try to recruit, but to try to give them the truth before they get poisoned by freaking Worm Tongue or whatever his name was?
I wonder if we should get a hold of Ben Henderson's lawyer and see if we can get some nice rates and get some of these people hemmed up.
I
Maybe
think
not
we,
Frank Cho, but there needs to be some consequences for.
I think that the community and everyone needs to find a way of getting a hold of Frank Cho and make him identify who is the alt-right hate group here and where's his evidence, and to, if he doesn't have it, to do a full retraction in order to make sure everyone here is safe when they go to a convention.
Oh, Mr. Miller, I'm gonna have to duck out. I'm sorry for leaving early.
Hey man, you've been at it all day. Go have some dinner.
Yeah, and everybody, please be good. Please be good. And just because we get upset here and there, right? Please be calm and patient, people, and present the best version of yourself. I think we change hearts and minds with kindness and not with anger. So forgive me my brief anger tonight. This should be the exception and not the example.
Have a good one.
You have a good night.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Take care. Aloha.
Hey, get that fan out of your face, Art.
Oh, can you turn the fan off, please? I'm not prepared.
Point it at your feet.
It's still hot in California. I can't
I'm
believe
in
it.
California. I have the window open. I got my fan at my feet. I'm nice and cool.
I'm nice and cool.
Aloha shirt and my
You're
tank.
south though. You're already 10 degrees cooler than I am.
Well, yeah, I would never live where you do.
Art, when did you realize you were part of a alt-right hate group?
Before I joined.
That's how I invited him.
Yeah.
I sent
Mike
him
said-
a little printed
Mike said-
invite. Said, "Welcome to the Nazi party, Art."
Mike said, I know you're like-minded. You hate women and you hate the country and, you're a Nazi. And, I think also it was the outfits, right? It was the, it was the white hoods and everything.
I like the white hood with the black Nazi suit. It's
Or
just
the armbands. You get the
stunning look.
armbands too.
stunning look, Yeah.
Yeah. Nice designed armband. Yeah.
So what do you think? What do you think about that, Art?
The Frank Cho stuff.
Yeah, him calling us an alt-right hate group.
Frank's a friend.
Good.
Yeah.
Talk to him.
Well, the thing is, I still support these guys on all my social media. I act every day like nothing's changed between us. You know what I mean? I still support them. I still comment on their threads, on their posts. I act like nothing's different because to me, nothing is different. I'm just hanging out with a bunch of friends. I mean, hell, on your guys' thread, I have the time of my life just hanging out and talking. You know what I mean? Laughing my ass off the last couple nights on the Comicsgate Live. oh my gosh. I mean, this is a great time. We're making comic books. We're entertaining people. We're bringing them into our lives, like right now. I don't understand any of it. I don't understand any of it. I'm the same person that Frank Cho, you know, met 10 years ago or whatever. I met him through Brandon Peterson.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I still think of them all as friends. Nothing's changed, but they've changed, and that's the weird thing. Is I don't know. I just don't understand how you could hate somebody or condemn somebody that you know, based on, I don't know, hearsay. I don't. What would you even call that? They're basing their decision making on.
It's hearsay that someone's talking, or some group of people are talking to Frank and telling him the SJW lie about who we are. So
Is he that dumb though? Is he a dumb person? Or is he someone that would look into it? Because I guarantee you guys, even right now, there's probably 1, 2, maybe 5 people that are watching us, and they're SJWs, and they might be working at Marvel or DC, and they're waiting to see what all of our reactions are, and they don't give a crap. They don't care that Edwin's married to a Hawaiian woman. They don't care that Mike has Asian ancestry. They don't care. Doesn't matter at all. It does. There's a switch. What all they know is that you, well, specifically Mike, maybe Edwin, that you're political enemies. That's it. That's all it is. They're LARPing to take out their political enemies. They see Republican or conservative.
That's what they do. That's why they use minorities. They use LGBT. They use everything and anyone they can to forward their political agenda. And it's got nothing to do with what they pretend it does.
Or right and wrong.
Yeah. Well, they don't. They generally don't.
I mean, I hate to say it, but I mean, it's almost cliche, but I mean, I remember when I was younger, I'd be like, hearing about the Salem witch trials, and they'd be like, well, there was something in the bread. And I was like, yeah, I guess there'd have to be some kind of hallucinogen or something to convince people of these weird ideas. But I mean, we're watching it. This is hysteria. We're one dumb person away from showing up at a convention and one of us getting potentially shot.
Yeah, that's why
because they're LARPing. Professionals, grown people are LARPing this Nazi alt-right narrative. I don't believe for a second that anyone that looks into us as a group, and again, I don't know Frank Cho, but I'm guessing he's not a retard.
No, he's not.
But I don't take for a second that he wouldn't look at us and say, yeah, these guys totally aren't alt-right Nazis. But then he goes and writes it, that we're an alt-right hate group. What is going? Is he so far Democrat that he would want to take out his political enemies by LARPing them?
No, I just seriously think he's ignorant.
I don't. I'm going to give the guy the credit of the doubt and say he's probably, like most people, of reasonable intelligence. Well,
that doesn't mean he's not ignorant.
It doesn't take much to see one of Ethan's live streams, this live stream, and to see that we are not a group of all white men, or whatever his view of this alt-right hate group is. We're not that. 100% we're not that. You can watch any of the channels, and we're not that.
Yeah, most people don't.
I think what Mike's trying to say is they just don't want to burn the calories to look into it. Like you would have to spend hours to start listening to this stuff and educate yourself on what's going on. The thing that bugs me the most is that, Mike, all three of us know a lot of these people, and I know them, but we still don't get the benefit of the doubt. Like I'm not even going to name names anymore, but I had a conversation with somebody the other day, and it's like they say it's not you, it's the group that you're associated with. It's like, but I am part of the group. Like I am, you know what I mean? Like, how do I
Not you.
separate
It's all those
myself?
black and Hispanic people you hang out with every night.
but it's like guilt by association. But yet I've known some of these guys for 20 years, and they're saying the same thing. They're saying, oh well, you know, it's not you, it's the people that you're associated with. So, you know, they're saying we're still friends, but yet,
That's
but yet, go ahead.
It's such a common mindset on the far left, though. It's like all Republicans, all conservatives are evil, greedy, blah, blah, blah. Oh, but not you.
Exactly. You're the exception somehow.
You
Yeah.
and my mom and my cousin Bill are the only three exceptions. Obviously, everyone else.
Right.
Because they have to paint us with that brush in order to excuse or ignore anything.
Vilify.
And
Right.
vilify. That's right.
Well, the thing is, like we could be in lockstep agreement on 99% of everything, but there's just that one thing that you get judged solely on, and then once they've labeled you as that, then all the name calling starts. And I mean, one thing, how many people agree? I don't even agree with my wife 100% of the time. I mean, who agrees with somebody 100% of the time? It just isn't going to happen. So this isn't even a realistic point of view that they have. Like, just because we don't agree with them, then somehow we're the evil enemy. It doesn't make any sense. It's like child logic. You're not going to agree with anybody 100% of the time.
Right.
What the hell? Republican and Democratic parties have existed for a long ass time now. I'm sorry, I used the A word. But you know what I'm saying? Like, why all of a sudden is it like you have to destroy your enemies? Like, I don't want to destroy anybody, you know?
Not at all.
No.
No. We want everybody to be reasonable people, and you can't be reasonable people when you're using political intimidation on people, or when you're using sexual discrimination on people. You can't do that, and they do that. It's all been documented. It's all on the Twitter feeds. Everything from Gabby Rivera to Alana Smith to Christina Harrington. These things are all factual. They're 100% factual. And they don't like it put up because they see it as political. And it's like, look, no, these are the principles that I grew up understanding, that we want everything to be treated fair and to give everybody, you know, an equal opportunity at everything. You know, if you want to be a comic book artist, go for it. You know, if you can draw better than me, you get the job. If I draw better than you, I get the job. You know, it's merit. You know, if you are female and you are the smartest one of the group, you get the job. These are the rules I grew up thinking that it was. You know, that we wouldn't use sexual discrimination in hiring practices. And
John, on the most part, you're 100% right. I've been in this business for 30 years. I've never seen any of this discrimination that they're talking about. The most powerful people in the comics industry since I've started, Jeanette Kahn, and then there was Diane Nielsen, and then there's the newest person at DC Comics, and they're all female. So the highest position at DC Comics is being held by a woman. And also, Vertigo was founded by Karen Berger. So where's this discrimination? I've had just as many female editors. Well, not as many, but I've had a lot of female editors, and I've never had a problem with them.
Yeah, because the sexual discrimination, it was used against men. It was used by Christina Harrington at Marvel.
More recently, yeah, but I'm just kind of talking about over the 30 years.
I understand. Yeah. Historically, comics to a large degree have been highly diverse. I mean, when I was growing up, I mean, it was subject matter, but I mean, when I was a kid, I mean, it was like Larry Stroman. I mean, come on. I mean, the guy's clearly not white. So, But I mean, you can go up and down the chain there. I mean, everything from at least my time, from the '90s on up. I mean, it was a whole bunch of people. I mean, newsflash: Jim Lee's not white.
Yeah.
He's not Stan Lee's son.
Yeah, he's Korean.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and he's
exactly.
one of the absolute best comic book artists of our time. You know,
So where was the discrimination? Yeah.
yeah, I mean, come on. I mean, what is going on here? You know, if you talk to the SJWs, you know, they think the first black person walked into a convention in, you know, 2014, and it's because of them. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, no, this is not the way it's ever been. I mean, comics have always been. You go to any convention, I mean, it's everybody. It's everybody. You know,
Well, you want to know how weird
everybody.
this whole thing is? Yeah. I mean, this whole thing is and you guys, I mean, you've been doing it for a while. Half these people that I've worked with, I've never met. And so I don't know what their nationality, I don't know what their, you know what I mean? I don't know what uh, their you know, their sexual, you know, whatevers are. I don't know what color they are. I don't know what nationality they are. I don't know anything about them. All I know is a name and their work. That's all I've ever known, because most of the time we work in a vacuum and we never get to meet these people. So we're working with a bunch of total strangers.
And who cares?
Yeah, exactly. I've never cared. I never
I
cared.
didn't discover that Christopher Priest was black, and I worked with him in 1994. I didn't discover he was black until like I think like last year.
Exactly. The first time I met Paris Cullen, I was like, "Oh, okay, that's interesting." You know, like
No, it's like
I
such a
did.
non-issue. It's like, are you good at your job?
Well, the best part about that, I always thought, when Joe Rubenstein met me for the first time, don't you always, like when you work with people, you just kind of have like, oh, this is what they look like. You have like this kind of like fantasy image of what the person looks like, and then you get to meet them for the first time. You're like, wait a minute, that's nothing like I imagined at all. And I remember I met Mark Silvestri used to have these cool parties. Beach parties in Malibu after San Diego every year. And so everybody from San Diego Comic-Con would go over there. And it's the first time I had known.
Party.
It was crazy. It was awesome. And so it was the first time I'd met Joe Rubenstein. I had talked to Joe Rubenstein. I had heard of him. You know, we've talked on the phone and stuff, but I never met him face to face. So when he first met me, he's like, wait a minute. You're not a blonde-haired surfer guy, because I always lived at the beach, like Hermosa, Manhattan, Huntington Beach. As soon as I moved out of my parents' house, I always lived by the beach. And he's like, "You're not a tan, blonde, you know, surf cat with long hair." And I go, "No, you know, I got dark hair. I look Hispanic."
That's
You
snake.
know? Oh gosh, no.
When I met him, he had the hair.
Oh yeah, he had the crazy lion's mane of hair. Yeah, but you know what I mean. Like like even Joe was like, you're nothing like what I imagined you being or looking like. So we have like these images of what these these people that you work with look like, and so when you meet them, you're just like, oh. I had no idea you were Korean. I had no idea that Jim Lee was Korean. You know, I mean, there's Stan Lee. You know, there's actual white people that have the last name Lee. So why would you automatically go, oh, he's Korean?
Well, Stan's last name is Leibowitz.
I know, but there is a Lee, last name.
Yeah, but it's usually spelled Leigh.
Not always. I knew a couple
Oh,
of
that's
Lees
right,
growing up.
General Lee. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Jay Lee, Will Spatasio. I mean, it wasn't a big mystery that comics and comics creators were diverse since the early '90s, and that's as far back as I go. So, this myth that this whole thing has just been some big white boys club, I mean, it's complete BS.
No,
well, even if we go ahead, Mike.
They had to find a reason why we were against. The assumption is that if you're against this SJW takeover of culture, that it has to be over some nefarious reason like racism or whatever. So they have to paint us with that brush so they don't have to listen to what we're saying. I mean, I say it all the time. I just said it 10 minutes ago. But that is what it's about.
Yeah.
They have to humanize us.
It's not about being fair. It's just about, you know, a knee-jerk reaction and then a label, and then, you know, the label is usually pretty hateful, and then, you know, you don't even have to think anymore. So as soon as you call somebody a Nazi,
Right.
and then you say to somebody else, "Hey, you're a Nazi," then guess what? You become a Nazi in that person's eyes, because how many people actually do their homework? How many people actually look into these things?
Yeah, so that begs the question again. Do we not recruit, but do we preemptively educate
Yes.
friends?
Yes. I was trying to, you know, I act like nothing's changed in my life, and to me, nothing has changed. I'm just hanging out with a bunch of like-minded guys, and we're making good comic books, and we have this platform that's working, and we're having a good time. That's it. So it hasn't changed. Like, I still go. I know there's a handful of people that don't like me being associated with this group, and they don't like the fact that I've taken, you know, instead of doing a Kickstarter platform, that I'm going Indiegogo, and now Indiegogo gets listed as some kind, like, if you're publishing or finance, you know, crowdfunding through Indiegogo, now just because of that, you get labeled.
That becomes a dog whistle too.
Right. Like, that's, God, it's absurd. It's insane. Oh, why are you doing your crowdfunding through Indiegogo? Don't you know that comic book Nazis go through Indiegogo? It's like,
Gosh, I had not heard that.
yeah,
Seriously?
Yeah,
I'm not
of course,
kidding.
of course, it can't be because Indiegogo is a good platform.
No, it's
You know?
actually, it's superior already. It's already easier to maneuver through than Kickstarter. It was a lot easier to set up than Kickstarter. I actually like the platform. I mean, I'm hoping that, you know, we fund and that everything works out great. And if it does, then yeah, I'm all about Indiegogo for, you know, for the next couple issues or episodes. I guess issues that I'm going to do.
Yep.
Well,
yeah, I just wanted to end on saying, you know, I think people need to get a little bit serious about the type of language that's going through mainstream comics, and again, to really pay attention that you can openly call a group of people, people that up until recently were your peers, alt-right hate group members, and know 100% this is not true, and put their lives in danger with that kind of comment. We are not trying to put anybody's lives in danger, and you know, we are using responsibility, and they are not, and not a single person is stepping up within the comics book community and saying that's enough. We definitely are, but nobody else is. There's a huge cowardice inside this industry. It's very dirty. It's very disgusting. And I say to the people who are neutral, even if you're not going to have a conversation with us, start having a conversation with the people that are still in the industry, and do something before somebody gets shot.
Well, talk to us before you judge us. I mean, you know, get to know the organization. Well, it's not even an organization, it's just a bunch of guys hanging out, you know. Get to know what you're condemning before you condemn it, at the very least. I mean, be fair.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, this stuff does hurt. I mean, we're not even talking about that. Like, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to lose any friends over this. I don't want to be ostracized in the industry. I just want to publish good, you know, books with like-minded people. That's all. You know, I don't wish ill on anybody, and I don't understand why, if somebody knows us, why they wouldn't give us the benefit of the doubt. I mean, I think Ethan says this, you know, a lot, and I think it's true. There were a couple missteps early on by, you know, certain people, and that's really the only thing that they can hang around our neck.
Yeah.
And that's still the act. Like Cecil said some stuff the other night, and Cecil said I take responsibility for what I said. I said this. The group did not say it. The group does not endorse this. So just because one person says something, that also doesn't mean that we all are in lockstep. It doesn't mean that we're all backing it. So if one of us speak inappropriately or say something that is hateful, it doesn't mean that that I said it, and it doesn't mean that I feel that way. It just means that one person said it. So I don't know. It's absurd. It's crazy.
It is.
Well, there's plenty of things on the other side to if we were going to have this group conviction of everybody. I mean, tit for tat, we would win. I mean, there's nothing on level of Robbie Rodriguez sending out his anus picture.
No.
I mean, what they pretend in their minds that we're doing is nothing compared to what they've actually done, and it's all documented. It's all true. It's all out there, and they keep ignoring it, and they keep LARPing up this idea that we're alt-right hate group.
Yeah,
including Vince Hernandez at Aspen Comics. He's the editor-in-chief there, calling us extremists. This is dangerous. They're all LARPing.
Yeah, I think the funny thing, the only thing I can see, like if they were just to listen to, when we really get going and get feisty, is that we're kind of raunchy. I mean, we're guys, and so we feel safe, and we feel like we can just talk, and say whatever and be whatever. So we're not very guarded some of the times. And I think that yeah, I think that scares them. I think they're just like, oh my gosh, those guys, listen to them.
They're toxically masculine.
Exactly. Like they're just look at that. There's a butt, and it's got this thing coming out of it. It's like, oh no, I actually think it's funny. I almost apologize. I meant it facetiously, but yeah, I mean, like it's hilarious to me. It's funny. It's fun. I like Howard Stern. I like that type of humor. So this is along those lines. So, but I can see how an outsider could come in and go, "Oh my gosh, it's so raunchy. Look at those guys. They're just pigs. They're a bunch of pigs." Yeah, okay, I'm a pig, but I'm having a good time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oink oink.
All right. Well,
Mike's done.
Yeah, call us pigs.
Mike's done.
Maybe that's closer to the truth.
Yeah.
It's a lot closer to the truth than calling us alt-right hate groups.
Yeah, I'll go with that. Like I'm acting like a pig right now. Fine, but I'm not always a pig. I'm a pig right now. So judge me based on the moment in time. But I'm not always that way. Right.
Yeah. We're three-dimensional human beings, all of us.
Art Sierra Whiskey wants to know if you're doing Drawn and Quartered tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah, invite me over. I think I bopped into their stuff earlier today. Yeah.
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock California time?
Yeah, be there, be square.
Are you going to be there?
It's on my channel.
Yeah, it's his channel.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Art's thinking about going to somewhere else again.
No. Okay, Mike. Okay, here's the story. Okay, this is how. Okay, Mike posted on his Twitter a link to somebody else's thread, right, Mike?
What?
Yeah. Okay, on your Twitter, there's a link to somebody else's thread, and so I thought that was this thread, so I clicked on it. So when you said Drawn and Quartered, I don't know what the hell that you guys just came up with that now, right? That's the thing from the other night.
Last week.
Oh, okay, yeah, but it was like Thursday night or Wednesday night, right? So this is still fairly new.
Yeah, it's new. A little over a week old.
Yeah, okay. Okay, it takes me time. So anyways, when you said that, I thought it was another show, so I apologize. So Drawn and Quartered is the new Mike S. Miller,
drawing contest. We all sit and draw.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but I'm not getting up at 7 o'clock.
7 p.m.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Jeez.
Hell yeah. Hey, I'm sorry, man.
Yeah, it's 10 p.m. my time.
Like I would get up at 7 o'clock in the morning.
For a drawing contest.
I mean, I'll do it to get my kid off to school, but come on.
Well, Mike,
Yeah.
are you gonna win this time? I mean, because I think Mitch gave you a bunch of crap for losing on your own show.
We're done here.
Well, we're just not going to send Gary the link.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's
Is
going to
Gary-
get lost. It's
John
going to get
quit.
lost in the mail.
John quit YouTube for the whole 4 days after that.
Oh, did you, John?
Oh, reading YouTube. Oh, yeah. Because I was in a state of depression.
Yeah. But you're gung ho tomorrow, right?
Oh yeah, I'll do it. I'm not scared. It's just having fun. So
Yeah, of course.
Mhm.
So Gary won last time.
Gary won
Shipman?
last time, yeah.
Oh,
yeah, I
very
think
cool.
he used reference. Not fair.
Well, I think he does color work too, doesn't he?
Yeah, but I don't think any of that was colored. That was the rule.
well-
There's no colors.
Okay, no color. Okay.
Yeah.
Black
what's
and
the
white art. What can
Yeah.
you do in 2 hours?
In 2
No,
hours? Not much.
We pick the subject matter out of the chat. So chat comes up with a bunch of suggestions, and then we see which one floats our boat.
Okay, so something simple
Mm-hmm.
like a water bottle
Yeah.
or a stapler. That's what I'm looking at on my desk right now.
Oh, brother. Yeah, it probably won't be. It probably won't be that. It'll probably be a convention sketch art.
Okay,
Okay.
I'm game.
Yeah, you're not going to win with that. Django Manco for $2. Don't worry, John. Gary thought you should have won.
Aw.
Oh, what a nice guy.
I like Gary now. Now I feel bad about slashing his tire.
Damn it. All the stories about John Malin are true.
All right, John, why don't you pitch yourself as we head out the door?
Yeah, I'm John Malin. You can find me on Twitter at John Malin. YouTube is also John Malin. I have an Indiegogo called Graveyard Shift, and we're at about 69,000. If you haven't checked it out, please do. And that's it. Thank you.
Art T-Bear.
Okay, well, Black and White Remastered went up 4 days ago. We're at 14,294. We have 256 backers, and I think we're a little over $700 away from the first push goal. Yeah, the first push goal. There you go. Yeah, so I'm on Twitter as well, and I have a YouTube channel. So like, subscribe, ring the bell, and thanks, Mike, for giving me the opportunity.
Always, brother. Yes, please, people, like, subscribe. If you like the thing, somehow or another, it creates better algorithms and whatnot. So it's really good for the channel. If you like it before you leave, so please do.
A thumb up, a thumb up.
A thumb up, one of these.
Yes.
Ring that bell for notifications, because sometimes, for some reason, they unring you or they unsub you. So make sure you're still subbed if you're not already. Please do check out Lone Star, still available, cruising at around a sweet $89,000.
Oh my gosh, it is so amazing, Mike.
Glorious.
Yes.
We'll be up for, I think, probably at least another 2 weeks, because I should be done drawing it by then, but I'm probably gonna let it go until I get the colors in and everything. LoneStarComic.com. Thank you, everyone, for being here. As Edwin would say, be the best person you possibly can be, and make the world a better place for you having been here. Aloha, everyone. Lone Star Squadron, y'all are dismissed.
Aloha.
Salute. Aloha.